I started doing some research in July on urgency, and it was actually quite interesting, and I think you're going to find it quite interesting too, about urgency. So I started doing some investigating. I gathered a lot of data, and I'm going to share that data with you. Most of the stuff that I gathered and the information, the majority of it, come from a book called Sense of Urgency by John Kotter. Anybody read that book, Sense of Urgency by John Kotter? God, everybody read that book? You kidding? Nobody's read that book. Has anybody read any books from John Kotter? My iceberg is melting, leading change. Did you? I'll get you $10. How about that? All right. A lot of the data I'm going to cover is from that, but I only got a short window to do it. So it's a very condensed, high-speed fly-through of what I think were the highlights of urgency and what urgency means. It's very fitting for our organization at this point in time. Okay? So first thing is you need to understand what urgency is, and this is a bit of an eye-opener. Urgency, in the dictionary, urgency is urgent character, imperativeness, insistence. So you look at urgent because of urgent character. It's compelling or requiring immediate action or attention, imperative and pressing. Okay? They both say imperative. So what is imperative? Imperative is it's absolutely necessary or required, unavoidable. That's what urgency is. That is the key. How many people, I always thought urgency was running around as fast as you can. That's not what urgency is. Responding as quick as you can, that's really not what it is. It's dealing with things that need to be addressed that are absolutely necessary. And they need to be handled correctly. So you take a look at what true sense of urgency is, and it's the action on critical issues that are needed now. So it's driving change. It really is driving change to fix an issue. Okay? It's central to success and survival and the difference between winning and losing. That's what a true sense of urgency is. Okay? So really to understand it a little better, we need to understand what the opposites of true urgency is. Does anybody know what the opposition of true urgency? No, that's not the answer yet. Somebody say something? Oh, blow it off. No. Actually, the opposition to true urgency is complacency. Who said that? Becky? Come on up here. Did you say it too, Becky? Who said it? Oh, I thought you pointed here. Josh, perfect. Thank you, sir. He's exactly right. The opposite of true urgency is complacency. And the other thing that's the opposite of true urgency, you're all going to kick yourselves for not knowing this because it's so simple. It's false urgency. And I've been $10. Oppositions, complacency, and false urgency. So let's take a big view at all three of them together, side by side, and what they mean. Complacency is pervasive, invisible to insiders. Pervasive, not evasive. Pervasive means throughout, spread throughout. That's what pervasive is. False urgency is also pervasive, usually seen incorrectly. And true urgency is rare, but it's imperative in a changing world. Do we live in a changing world? Yes, show of hands. How many people think in our market, in our industry, things are changing all the time? Absolutely right. So we need to be changing as well, all the time. The things that apply to us when we were 30 million don't apply now at 40 million. Things that applied at 20 didn't apply at 30. And as we continue to grow, we need to continue to evolve. We need to make changes to handle the volume. Things change. So let's look at complacency. What's complacency rooted from? Successes, real or perceived. False urgency is rooted in failures or extreme pressure. True urgency is rooted in leadership up and down the hierarchy, not just at the top, up and down the hierarchy. People who are complacent think, I know what to do and I'll do it. False urgency people think, what a mess this is. And true urgency people see opportunities everywhere and hazards. Complacent people feel content with the status quo. False urgency are very anxious, angry, and frustrated. And true urgency people feel a powerful desire to move and win now. Their behavior, they're easy to spot. Complacent people are unchanging activity, does whatever worked in the past. They ignore opportunities and hazards because they basically don't see them. False urgency is frenetic activity or frantic, running around to the extreme, and that's why it exhausts people and stresses them out. True urgency is urgent activity which is alert, fast-moving, and focused on what's important, and they're constantly purging the irrelevant. That's just a quick view of it. So complacency. Let's take a deep look at complacency, because it's a feeling of quiet pleasure or security, often while unaware of some potential danger. Self-satisfaction with an existing situation, condition, or whatever. The key words there is it's a feeling, and it's a feeling one person has about themselves. Okay? That's the key you need to know here. Complacency is a feeling that one person can have about themselves. So how do people become complacent? Anybody? Success. Who said that? Geez, that's like 20 for you now, right? Success. I showed it to you a minute ago. You need to be faster. I covered more ground. That's true. It's a product of success or perceived success. And think about that. And we're having some success right now. We're doing well. We're actually creating a lot of complacency, or at least the environment for it. So who can be complacent? Anyone. Who said that? That was quick. You're looking for that 10 spot, weren't you? That was fast. Anybody can. I can be, you can be, everybody. Anybody and everybody can become complacent. And you'd be surprised of the smart, intelligent people who can become very complacent, and typically it happens to them through a history of successes. And they become more complacent. So it can be anybody. So the odds are very high that it's around all of us. It's around you. And it's spread throughout our organization. So complacent people, they don't view themselves as complacent. So if I asked you, everybody would say no. I couldn't see anybody. I'm not going to ask, and no hands would go up. They view themselves as acting quite rational, and that makes them hard to spot because they look rational, thoughtful, prudent. And if you confront them, some of them get very offended, and they're going to tell you you're wrong. They're not complacent. They're adamant about it. And in the face of obvious challenges, they blame everybody else. If others would change, the world would be well. I know what I'm doing. The problem is over there. That's what complacent people think. They don't alertly look for opportunities or challenges because they're set on doing what's worked for them in the past. That's complacency. So really, it's about working outside your comfort zone. So if this is your comfort zone, that's where complacency lives. What is this? Opportunity. That's a good one. I'll even give you 10, even though that's not the right answer. But it's a good answer. It is opportunity. But that's where the magic happens. That's where really great ideas happen. That's where change happens, is outside of your comfort zone. Can anybody give me an example of something where CC has went outside our comfort zone and something great has really happened as a result of it? Wisconsin. Shelley, that's $10. We went outside our comfort zone and acquired A&A. That isn't in our, that isn't a comfort zone. There's risk involved. Anybody else?
Our AV business
our AV business. That's another one. Perfect example. You might have to move, Dan. Here, let's tag team that to him. Yeah, our AV business. We ventured into AV. Another one? BTC. Started BTC. Mark? Okay, just hand that back. Okay. Those are perfect examples of when we work outside of our comfort zone and something great has come of it. There are a few others. Working abroad. That's out of our comfort zone, and that's really taken off. We've got people, geez, where are they working now? You were just telling me this.
North Carolina, Tennessee, Ohio, Florida, Texas.
Just in the last few months, we have people all over working outside of our comfort zone, outside of our area. Now, we've been doing that for years, but it's really picked up. That's complacency. Let's take a quick look at false urgency. Where does false urgency come from? Insecurity, that's one. Who said that? False urgency is from insecurity. Insecurity because they don't like change. They're insecure of what the change is going to happen to them. It comes from failures. So think about this, because false urgency is everywhere as well. It's very pervasive. If somebody's having to deal with an issue that CC has, we put a team together to fix it, and they sacrifice a little bit of their time and so forth, and it doesn't get fixed, they wasted their time. Now that person has become false urgent, and every time you try to fix it, they're going to be resistant to it. And what do they do when that issue arises? They run around frantically, they raise flags, and they try to get it resolved as fast as they can. That's false urgency. So think about that. That's what creates it. Who can fall to false urgency?
Anyone.
Anybody. That was quick. I heard you first. You were quick. Anybody can. You, me, anybody and everybody. False urgency can happen. So the odds are very high. It's around you as well. So you think about these two things, complacency and urgency, and we're trying to fix things. If we have anyone who's complacent or anyone with false urgency on any team that's trying to fix something, it's going to stall out. Okay, so let's take a quick look at false urgency, because false urgency people, they're fueled by anger. They're pissed off. They have to deal with this issue and it just never gets fixed. The anger drives high energetic behavior, which is confused with true urgency because they're running around. They're creating a lot of activity, but it's not productive activity. It's actually destructive. It creates high levels of frustration and anxiety. It's unsustainable, basically. And with anger at everybody, they're racing around creating battles and getting the company nowhere. It's a short-lived solution. That's false urgency. We waste hours strategizing on how to stall out the projects, derail ideas, exploit other failed attempts to fuel more anger. Okay? That's complacency. That's false urgency. Now what I'm going to share with you is no-nos. Okay? The name says it all. There's no-nos. And almost every organization has at least one, and sometimes there's several throughout an organization. Who can be a no-no? Not everybody. Not everybody at all. There's senior level no-nos, there's junior level no-nos. They're very aggravating. And they can become extremely aggravating. But make no mistake, because they're far worse than that. Okay, so let's take a look at no-nos. Before we do, I don't want you to confuse skeptics with no-nos, because everyone has skeptic in them, okay? There's a difference between a skeptic and a no-no. Okay, so let's take a quick look at that. When you're confronted with an issue or something that needs to be changed, a skeptic will go back and look at past experiences to see if they can find data that helps support their way of thinking. Okay, and they find they couldn't find any. A no-no doesn't really care about the past. unless they can use it as ammunition to derail or diffuse what's trying to be done. The desired data a skeptic looks for is enough information to convince him or her, and they typically don't like leaps of faith. That's why they need the data. No-nos doesn't really want the data. They hide the fact and publicly keep demanding more. We need more data. We need more data. The use of the data. A skeptic treats it logically, but needs a lot of it because they're risk adverse. They just need to be convinced. A no-no is very selective of the data, and they choose only the data that suggests no action is needed, and they're never open-minded. How active or passive are these people? A skeptic can be either active or passive. They just want you to show me why we need to do this, why this needs to happen, why the change. A no-no is very active, in the open, and behind the scenes, and they're highly disruptive. The bottom line, a skeptic can slow down the progress, but once they're convinced, they become the biggest advocate for that change. Because they know it. It's been proven. A no-no raises anxiety and always kills urgency. So let's take a look at no-nos. These people are devious. They're not open-minded. They have their agenda, and they're inflexible with it. They do not believe in a democracy. It's not what they're looking for. They look at the data with the sole purpose of exploiting a weakness. They work the margins, so they look for people who are on the fence, whether to go with it or not, and then they try to work with those people to convince them not. They constantly work behind the scenes to build opposition. It's like an internal civil war. No-nos are always ready with 10 reasons why not, why you're wrong, why that's not applicable. Senior no-nos can appear very rational, and usually they think, in a just world I should be in charge, and I won't let those who are succeed. In fact, they'll do anything to make sure that those who are in charge don't succeed or don't receive the credit. They'll say things like, the progress is a result of the groundwork I did, or we're successful in spite of them. Okay? That's no-nos. We don't have any place for no-nos in our organization. So let's talk about true urgency. These people are rare because they look at it, like we talked about, they look at it from an opportunity standpoint. It's rooted in leadership. True urgency is up and down the hierarchy. It has to happen at all levels, and it can happen at all levels. It focuses on critical issues, critical to our success and critical to us making progress. And that progress is made every day. That's what urgency is, not running around as fast as we can, but progress being made. It's a strong desire to move and win now. They don't move at 30 miles an hour when 60 is needed. They see opportunity and hazards everywhere. Their action is alert, fast-moving, focused on the important issues. And they use crisis to create true urgency. Because what is a crisis? It's from something that went wrong. A crisis is really the exploitation of an issue in a process, a system, or whatever. That's what a crisis is. It's self-created. Okay, so the takeaway from this, never let a crisis go to waste. Now you heard that from Rahm Deadfish Emanuel, who said, don't let a crisis go to waste, and we'll use that to pass bills and laws. Actually, you don't let a crisis go to waste because it exploits a problem that we have. Be aware of complacency, false urgency, and we got to deal with the no-nos. Now that can be difficult because some of the no-nos are like family and like friend. Some of them are very good at what they do. It makes it very tough to deal with. We've got to be renewing ourselves all the time because we're growing. If we weren't growing and we wanted to just stay status quo, then we shouldn't be changing. But we're growing, so we have to keep changing. We've got to keep renewing ourselves. Here's what we need to be doing, and we will be doing. We're going to build task teams to address our critical issues. We're going to find the true urgency people within the organization. We're going to leverage them to work on these task teams to fix our issues. Okay? They're going to be selected members for those teams. And if they're real good, they'll play a much bigger role in fixing our problems. Okay? And if you think about that, when we put together teams and we just grab a group, chances are in that group we have what? No-nos, complacency, urgency. Is that you? Look at that. You got another 10. Yeah, the chances are we have that on those committees that are fixing our problems. No wonder we would stall out. So let's get the right people making those changes. True urgency is really built around a business case. Gathering data, using logic, and figuring out what needs to be done and presenting it. That's what these teams will be doing. And then follow up and follow through is important. Okay? That's urgency.